Here we're going to discuss something that we are leaning toward over and over and over again, and that is public policy. And again, when is strict liability applicable, and to what policy and public policy? Not to protect individual right, but public policy. And remember, at the beginning of the course, the underlying goal of the legal system is to make a balance between the right of the individual and the rights of society at large. And of course, who is this public policy reflecting? And that is the greatest good for the greatest number. And of course, who is the greatest number is the reasonable people. And who are the reasonable people? Is a group of people that have little disagreement about the same issue. That means that same issue, they all agree that is good. Does not mean that the other 35% of society agrees with that, because sometimes what is good for me is not good necessarily for you, but it's good according to the reasonable people. The people that have little disagreement about what is good. So on what public policy ground is strict liability imposed? And this is what we're going to learn in this case. Strict liability is imposed as a matter of public policy based on the assumptions that, first of all, consumers should be protected against unsafe products, and the manufacturers and distributors should not escape liability for faulty products merely because they are not in privity of contracts with the ultimate user of those products. And 3, manufacturers and sellers of products are in a better position to bear the cost associated with the injuries caused by their products, costs that can be passed on to the consumer in the form of high prices. The court will say, companies, you know that there's always going to be somebody out there that some way, somehow, or because of their no mental capacity, or because of they did not read the instructions or misunderstood, whatever it is, somebody will get hurt. And the best thing for you to protect society at large is to increase that extra dollar on the product, so that you have like a trust account in a way that in case somebody got hurt, you will have the money to put that person in the same position they were before they got hurt. So to tell you the truth, the liability on corporation really comes back to what? To the consumer. And we don't seem to mind it. For the good of society, we don't seem to mind to pay the extra dollars, as long as that extra dollar is used to help people to recover from the injury caused by the product. We might not like it, but we don't mind it. So in 1980, Ford models Pinto and Mustang were involved in a variety of lawsuits, civil and criminal. Civil is an action between people, and criminal is when the state takes you to court. So the state in this situation took Ford to court. In one of the Pinto cases, plaintiffs won not only compensatory damages, but also $3.5 million in punitive damages. The trial lasted 6 months and included the testimony of a former Ford executive who had been forced into early retirement because he had spoken out on safety. Many times, insiders, a couple of years ago, we had a movie regarding the insider. And if you are an engineer and you work as a quality person there, a project manager, and you know something, you have a legal duty to make sure that there's full disclosure. And of course, many times the executive or top management might think that you are negative. Oh, here comes the party pooper, And what they have to, usually what a company would do is balance. How many people really will get hurt by using this product, but how much money are we going to make? And that's really what they're making decision on consequences. And of course, if you are the person that, insist, like the Firestone tires we had lately and before that, the shuttles, and if you want to even now, we have the 9/11 Commission finding out, CIA and FBI, it was a fault not to warn the president. Was the president also, or his administration, at fault in a sense that they knew some information and they should have told us so that all those people didn't have to die. Very, very interesting. The airlines, didn't know any information. It was one person that made a phone call, and then they should have stopped the accident. So the Court of Appeals affirmed the verdict against Ford in this case, which was a very interesting case in your textbook. Please read that because, and also I would like you to post your arguments to the following question. Why did the jury award punitive damages against Ford? Punitive against Ford, why? That means that they knew or should have known by putting the car, the product in commerce, people will get hurt. And they decided anyhow. On what basis does the court uphold the punitive damages award? I'd like you to read it, and I'd like you to let me know whether you agree or not. And of course, from what ethical perspective? Ford argued that the amount should be limited by the California and federal guidelines, setting maximum fine for selling defective products. But not every state has that. Can you think of any other arguments against leveling large punitive damages award? Like again, the BMW case that I share with you in the first part or the second part, where a $4,000 damages, BMW was liable for something, I think, $8 million, and then it went down to $4 million punitive damages. And they didn't believe that they did anything wrong because they had a policy not to reveal any damages that is less than 3% of the sale price of the BMW. And according to the court, that was unconstitutional. The dealer or the seller has to disclose anything. And just because they had a policy not to disclose information about damages that cost less than 3% that the sale price does not mean that they were not liable. So I'd like you to read this case and let me know what the court decide. What argument can you make for and against an award of punitive damages in the latest glove case, that is in a green case? And compare the two cases, please. Compare the gloves case where they also received or she received punitive damages, and also the Ford case. And again, remember, is it fair? And fairness depends on economics and value of our society. Do we value a car as much as wearing gloves that protects against diseases or AIDS or HIV or whatever you want it in a hospital? So these are the things that I want you to compare, because you'll see that, again, justice really depends on fairness, and fairness, it really depends on the value and the economics. Ford has a lot more money than a hospital, so it will be interesting to read your arguments, con and pro. Thank you.